Well, hello everyone. Well, hello. Different view again today. Books behind me, Henrietta my turtle, who by the way is 23 years old, on my right. And today I want to talk about something that I originally saw on Facebook. It was a post that caught my attention. And the post said something to the effect that I own a ridiculous amount of ... And I really thought about it as I was cruising down the Facebook feed. I mean, what do I own a ridiculous amount of? And I suppose one could say books, because these are just half of the books, but there's really nothing else that I own that is a ridiculous amount of stuff. At one point in my life, I could have given red lipsticks to everyone in the population here in South Florida, but I have learned not to do that anymore, and so there's really nothing that I own a whole heck of a lot of except books, and those are my treasured items. But I want to talk to you about decluttering and how I went down the journey to declutter and what I learned along my way. And I'm going to do this over several weeks, probably maybe a couple of months, just to give you an idea as to give you my experience so that perhaps you can pick something up. Because I think the danger is that when we see all this decluttering and minimalism and all on the internet and literally everywhere around us, bookstores, television, podcasts all over, it can be overwhelming. And also the main thing is that you have got to want to do this yourself. You have to figure out what is your why. Nobody else can tell you why you should declutter. It's something, and I know this is going to sound woo-woo, it's something that should come from within you. That there's a point where you see clearly, this isn't suiting me and I need to change. If somebody from the outside looks at your stuff and tells you you need to get rid of this stuff, you need to clear up, aside from that being annoying, disrespectful, and everything else that goes along with that, that is not the reason why to declutter. As I said, you have to determine your why. And I suppose the best way also to tackle this is, why did it get to where it is? Why do you have so much stuff that you literally accumulate over the years? And there are many, many reasons. One that comes to mind is items that are passed down from generation to generation to generation. And everyone just assumes that the next person in line will take these items. And no one questions, well, maybe do they want them? Is it necessary to give it to them? And so we take on all this stuff that's passed on, that we inherit, but we necessarily don't want it and don't need it. And in turn, it just clutters everything up that we have. It clutters the outside, but more importantly, it clutters the inside, and it doesn't allow you to think. And it's really ironic because it causes you to get more clutter because you're not thinking about it. So you must determine your why. It cannot be some family member, some friend saying you need to declutter. It cannot be a Netflix video, aka Marie Kondo's video. Great idea, have nothing against it. It cannot be me telling you to declutter. You have got to start yourself. You have got to realize that there needs to be a shift in the items that you possess. Because at the end of the day, ladies, they are just items. It's just stuff. So I suggest that you really take this slowly. Go make a plan in your head about how you're going to go about decluttering. Again, really, really slowly. Write it down. Why do you need to declutter? What is your plan in the future, and how are you going to get there by decluttering? And do this as long as it takes you to write things down, and take a day by day and decide, for example, One day I'll take 15 minutes and declutter this drawer. And then the next week, maybe I'll take another 15 minutes. Or maybe you'll take a day and take an hour. Or maybe you'll take a week, a couple of days. But do it slowly. Because from my experience, and if you're honest with yourself, your experience, if you tend to go at something gung-ho, it doesn't get done. You need to take it slowly. So I thought at this point I would just tell you my reasons why I really started to declutter and to look at what was around me. As many of you know, I was a caregiver for several years. And on a Wednesday I was a caregiver, and on a Thursday I wasn't. And it really got me to think much deeply about all that was around me, because what was important to me wasn't there and everything else was. And I realized that while there was a lot of stuff that was there, that wouldn't change the events that had just happened. And that while that stuff represented memories, it was just items. And the memories were all stored in here. They weren't stored outside, they were stored inside. And I set on the task to do my best to clear out what I felt was unnecessary. That was my why. I didn't see the need for keeping a lot of these items. And, you know, I realized that it's difficult for some people. And that's why you have to have your why. What I started with was a cabinet that there was a lot of crystal and glassware kept in. And I realized that it took a lot of cleaning and maintaining, and more importantly, it was hardly ever used. I remember using it in my youth, having glasses of wine with the family, and it was very, very nice. But again, that was inside. That wasn't outside, and I was never going to lose this inside. So I set about giving most of everything away, and I gave it to the Goodwill, and in the hopes that somebody else would enjoy that item. Now, I know many people are going to say, but Carolyn, that stuff could have been worth something. I know that. In my lifetime, probably not. It was all items from the 1930s and 40s. But there are a lot of that stuff, those items, that glassware that still exists. There's nothing special about it except the memory that it holds for whoever owns it at the time. So that's really how I started this whole decluttering. I really looked at what was important to me and how I could make my load lighter, how I could make my journey lighter, how I could enjoy my journey and for me, it's with less stuff. Was just the start of it, and I literally went from one area of my home to the other area, and it's taken a while to do it, but I've enjoyed it. It's been very fruitful, and if I had to do it again, of course I would do it again. Those are my reasons why, because I need to clear the space around me. But yours might be different. And the exercise that I ask you to perform this week, even the next coming weeks, is to determine what is your why you want to declutter, why you personally want to do it. Nobody else can tell you what to do, because if you're like me, you just stick down your feet and your heels and saying, I'm not going to do it. So determine your why. Write it down and then put a plan together. And over the next number of weeks, I will be discussing this. You can help me with this discussion by putting your questions in the comment box below. And we all learn from each other. Let's get a conversation going below, because we're all dealing with I would suspect a lot of us are dealing with the same issues. That is me for this week. I've got to run out and do buy some things for my business. But I wish everyone a good week. Stay well and stay safe. Prayers for Ukraine. And I will see you next week. Toodles.